Hey, and welcome to my channel about living in and moving to Denver, Colorado. Just like with any city, there's always little neighborhoods and pockets that all have a little bit different characteristics to it. So in this video, we're going to be covering different neighborhoods around Denver, Colorado. Let's get started. Before we get started, I do want to mention, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I release videos about Denver, Colorado and surrounding areas, so if you want to get notified when I do that, which is twice a week, please hit those buttons below. Also, I am a licensed real estate agent in this state, so if you need help with buying, selling, or anything in between, I'm your gal. My information is below, and I'd love for you to reach out. Call, text, email, whatever works for you. All right, now let's get into those neighborhoods. The first neighborhood we're going to talk about is Rhino. It also stands for River North, and it's an art district that has a revamped industrial building vibe to it. You're not going to see a lot of the buildings going over 3 stories high unless you're getting closer and closer to I-25. Then you're going to find more apartment buildings and row homes that can house more people. If you love that inclusive vibe of being kind of in the center of everything and having so many different choices to choose from, Rhino is a good neighborhood for you to check out. You're not going to see a lot of chain restaurants in Rhino. It's going to be more locally owned, maybe mom and pop shops with only one restaurant, or they're going to be those smaller chains that you'll find throughout the state. They did just put in a Shake Shack, but it kind of makes sense because it is on a busier street that gets a lot of foot traffic after the bars close. There's some really fun places to check out that have craft cocktails, unique bites, kind of that new American vibe. And there's some really well-known breweries that have huge warehouse buildings that have a small tasting room, and then you can do the tour of the brewery, like Great Divide and Epic Brewing. The streets are wide enough to have scooters. It is a little bit more spread out, so you're gonna see a lot more scooters and rideshare, a little less walking than you would for other neighborhoods that we're gonna be covering. And one super identifiable feature that Rhino has is the murals that are on the sides of some of the buildings. It's not just graffiti art, they are giant murals, and they are so cool. I've mentioned it in a couple other videos of this Crush Walls event where they had 70 to 80 artists that they would bring in and just decorate for an entire week, and you could go around and watch them do their thing. There were food trucks, music, they closed off streets, and then they would have little walking tours that you could walk by a ton of these different murals. It's really a cool place, and if you're visiting, it's definitely one to check out.
Yeah, Alan, you better.
The second neighborhood is LoDo, which stands for Lower Downtown. So if you take Coors Field and you go just south of that, that's where Union Station and a bunch of other bars and restaurants are. I would definitely consider LoDo downtown. I'd also consider Rhino, which is just north of Coors Field. I would consider that downtown as well. So if you're looking for that restaurant, lifestyle, cocktail bars in vicinity of Coors Field where the Rockies play our baseball team, or if you work downtown, LoDo would be perfect for you. One of my favorite things about LoDo is Union Station. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it is a functioning train station. So there's a train that goes from Union Station all the way up to Winter Park. It just goes once a day and then it comes back, so you don't even have to worry about accommodations. And you can bypass all of the traffic, whether it be in the summer or the winter, for snowboarding, hiking, camping. You can just enjoy that train ride there and back. There's also some really cool bars that are included inside of Union Station, as well as 3-story tall ceilings, some gorgeous chandeliers, and that's actually where the Crawford Hotel is located. So you can eat, play, and stay all in one space. They have a little meat market, they have a coffee spot, terminal bar, Mercantile, which is a really nice restaurant, and Stoic and Genuine is also attached as well. You can get some really great oysters there. Just the building is super iconic. So you have to stop at Union Station if you're coming to visit. It's definitely a pretty sight to see. The second big venue that I would recommend going to check out is McGregor Square. It's brand new. They just built it in, I believe, 2021, maybe finished in 2022. They host large events there. They just hosted the largest derby party that's in Colorado in the center of McGregor Square, and that's actually where I watched the Avalanche win. Avalanche is our hockey team. We just won the Stanley Cup this last year in 2022, which is super exciting. But there's a huge Jumbotron, and the outdoor venue was completely packed. During the summer, they have outdoor movie night, and during the winter, it turns into an ice rink. There's also a fair amount of other bars and restaurants incorporated in that venue too. LoDo is filled with elegant Victorian buildings, and most of them are office spaces, but since a lot of people are working from home, some are being converted into apartments or condos to sell. So just walking down the streets, you can kind of get that old-timey vibe, even though Colorado is a bit of a newer city. The third neighborhood that I want to talk about is Highlands, also known as the Highlands. So if you go from LoDo right across the highway to the west, you're going to find Highlands. It is higher up, hence the name Highlands. And that's one of my favorite spots to hang out. They have chic cocktail bars and trend-setting restaurants. And if you haven't figured out already, I am a foodie. I hate that word more than anything, but I can absolutely give recommendations on bars to go to, restaurants to try. And some of my favorites in the Highlands are L5. It is a rooftop restaurant bar. They do have a little bit of an outdoor seating area, probably the best view of the Denver skyline. A little tricky to get a reservation, especially on a Friday or Saturday, so plan that one a little bit ahead of time. But it's an elevated Mediterranean style restaurant with a lot of dishes that you're not going to find a lot of places, and that is my absolute favorite style. Another one I would recommend, which is right next door, and it's not necessarily a restaurant, it's Little Man Ice Cream. I love ice cream more than anything. It's my favorite dessert. And my mom did more research on Denver, Colorado before I did when I moved here, and she said, you know it's good ice cream if there's a line around the corner in the winter. It's this awesome looking giant milk jug, and all the workers are in the center, and yes, the line does curve around the block, but it's definitely worth it. It's homemade. They have cookie sandwiches, vegan options, sorbets, homemade waffle cones, and the display that they have all the flavors on, you can definitely tell that somebody handmade them. So if you get your ice cream, you can walk around the little park that's right there, or you can walk over to some nightlife, such as Happy Camper is such a poppin' place. Avanti is a collective eatery that's right across the street from that. They also have fantastic views. And just like Rhino, the closer that you get to I-25, the more row homes and apartment complexes you're gonna have, and the higher up you're gonna be. The more west that you travel, you're gonna see more of those elegant homes, and there's some really cool churches that have some really historic features to them. If you're driving on I-25, whether it's north or south, you know you're near the Highlands if you see the Highland Bridge, which is this beautiful white bridge that connects downtown to the Highlands. So it's definitely walkable to go do things downtown. You'll see a lot of scooters here. There's some really nice parks that are right by I-25 as well. And then there's the REI flagship store. They really went all out with this REI. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a complete maze inside, but what do you expect with REI? And that store is so busy because Colorado is known for so many different sports and activities. They need to be fully stocked with all the things that they have. Moving on to neighborhood number 4 is Wash Park. So we're going to be moving a little bit more east and more centralized. Wash Park is largely residential and it's mostly single family homes. But one of the most iconic features that you know you're in Wash Park is because you're passing Washington Park, also called Wash Park. There are so many trails, you will always see somebody there, whether it is completely snowy outside, and especially on a hot summer day, Wash Park is the place to be. There are people biking, rollerblading, walking their dogs, playing basketball. They have a giant jungle gym or play structure, however you grew up knowing that toy castle that kids play on. And there is a ton of green space. So people set up volleyball courts all the time. And then during the summer, Volleyball of the Rockies is the league that I was part of. It just seems like there are hundreds and hundreds of nets. And the league starts at 6 p.m. and goes until sunset. It's such a great way to get to know people and also get a little bit of exercise while you're at it. Wash Park has trails that are going all around the park, and there's also 2 lakes. It's really nice to just sit and be calm, or you can kayak on the lakes, or I just found out that there's fishing on the lakes too. The style of home here is remodeled early 20th century Victorian homes, brick bungalows, and more opulent new builds. If you have a good budget, Wash Park might be a great place to take a peek at because the median price point for homes is $1.2 million. So if you want to do something outdoorsy and the opportunity to meet new people, check out Wash Park. It's open to the public and has some really great sunsets and good vibes. Even though Wash Park is predominantly single family homes, there is South Gaylord Street, which is this small little strip of restaurants and bars and local shops that just seems like it pops out of nowhere. Devil's Food Cafe cafe has really great pastries and coffees. And then right next door, they have a full restaurant. There's Wash Park Grill that has some really great deals, such as like on Wednesdays, half off whiskey and a really good deal on wings. And sometimes they'll close off the street and host little festivals during the summer. Definitely has some cute neighborhood vibes. The fifth neighborhood is going to be Platte Park. It is just southwest of Wash Park, and I call it kind of a mini Wash Park because it is a little bit more affordable and a little bit younger of a community. They too also have a little street that kind of pops up out of nowhere called South Pearl Street, and you're going to find Sushi Den, which is one of the top rated sushi restaurants in Colorado. During the summer, they'll close off the street and they'll have little farmers markets and local events. That average sale price in Platte Park is about $949,000. That statistic was taken in 2021, and then Wash Park is at $1.2 million. That statistic was also taken in 2021. So just to give a frame of reference, Wash Park is a little bit more expensive than Platte Park, but they're both highly desired neighborhoods. You're gonna find more craftsman bungalows, Victorians, modern renovations, and Tudors. The sixth neighborhood that we're going to be talking about is City Park. So City Park is directly east of downtown Denver. I probably wouldn't say it was within walking distance, but it is predominantly covered by green grass, such as the actual city park. The golf course is right there, as well as the Denver Zoo. There are a lot of walking and biking trails, and probably one of the most iconic pictures of Denver is taken at that golf course that I was just mentioning. You'll see the beautiful Denver skyline with the mountains in the background. Absolutely gorgeous picture. Also right in the center of City Park is the architectural dream that just seems like this school should be in a movie or something, but it's East High School. And also right down the road is the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. That is such a cool place to hang out. The first time I was there for 6 hours and we didn't leave. They have this awesome dinosaur exhibit. They have rotating exhibits that come through, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, Art of the Brick, which was all about Legos. There was a mummy exhibit that came through. So if for whatever reason you're too sunburned to spend more time outside and you're visiting, or it's too snowy to go anywhere, definitely check out the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Really fun thing to do in the summer as well at City Park is Jazz in the Park. It's hundreds, if not thousands of people that gather to listen to this amazing jazz music, and they have different bands and different groups that come in every single week on Sunday night. So people will bring their volleyball courts, they'll bring their picnic baskets, they'll bring blankets while sitting and enjoying this amazing music. Number 7 is Cap Hill. This one is near and dear to my heart because I lived in Cap Hill, or Capitol Hill, for 2 years when I first moved to Denver. I thought it was a really great place to start out because you get to know the city, you're pretty close by. It is within walking distance to downtown, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's more likely you're gonna see people on scooters or taking Ubers and Lyfts. The parking situation is a little bit tricky because it feels like there's more people than there are parking spots. So you will be circling a little bit if you're trying to park when the traditional workday ends around 5 o'clock. If you're visiting anything in Capitol Hill, just know to give a little bit of extra time unless there is a designated parking spot for you or a parking garage. Capitol Hill is filled with old mansions. It's a residential district with bohemian vibes and has a punk aesthetic to it. When I read that description, I was like, that actually fits perfectly. There's a lot of expression in Capitol Hill, and you're gonna find a lot of apartment complexes as well as condos and taller buildings that house a lot of people. So it's very densely populated, which leads into why there's a parking issue. But a lot of people in that area don't even have cars because they can walk or take a car other places. There's a couple theaters to check out if you like live music, such as the Fillmore or Ogden. There's also Black Box Theater, some really nice craft cocktail places that have kind of hipster vibes to them. And then another huge benefit of being in Capitol Hill is you are right next to Cheeseman Park, which is a great place to again set up volleyball courts. It's definitely smaller than Wash Park. It's like a fraction of what Wash Park would be, but it's still a great place to walk your dog, rollerblade, bike, set up a picnic, play spike ball. And when I lived in Capitol Hill, I felt totally comfortable walking up to some people playing volleyball and asking if I could join as well. All right, that was 7 neighborhoods in Denver, Colorado. There are so many more that I would love to visit, but I'm gonna have to make a part 2. So please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you get notified when I release my next video. And also my contact information information is below. So if you have any questions on any of the neighborhoods I covered, or if you want to find the best neighborhood that you would fit into in Denver, Colorado, you gotta reach out to me. My contact information is below. I'll be seeing you on the next video.